but soon he will learn manners. I will torture his body so that his soul learns to be humble.
Okay, he know we just talking here, right? I mean, we just getting people interested in
Cage Against the Machine.
Cage Cousins, how are you? And what would you call somebody who joins the community of the Bishop Chronicles?
The BCP Army.
The BCP Army.
You know what I'm saying?
This is the BCP and Double
Army,
D.
brother. That's
At
right,
93,
brother.
we knock it down.
All the little bishop maniacs out there, brother.
That's right. Do your vitamins. Drink your Cloud School tea.
That's right.
Say your prayers 5 times a day. And
That's
practice
right.
your jujitsu.
Run Mount Aurelius, brother. Run Mount Aurelius.
Did we decide what that mountain's actually called?
I can't tell you what it is. I can only tell you that I call it Mount Aurelius.
I mean,
I know what it's called. I
right.
do.
It's not Mount Tam.
It's not Mount Tamalpais.
It's not San Bruno Mountain.
It's not San Bruno Mountains, and it's not Mount St. Helens because that's
Right.
too far away.
But we're gonna call it
Mount Aurelius.
Mount Aurelius.
That's right. That's right.
Which sounds like a terpy mob's.
Doesn't it? Does.
It does, you know. Mr. Aurelius.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
was like he's from Oakland, but he signed to no limit.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, that's gonna be my new, like, when I meet fools that I'm not feeling, I'm gonna be Mr. Aurelius. What's your name?
Mr. Aurelius.
Mr. Aurelius, bro.
I like that. I see. That's some Bay Area stuff. I always try to explain that to my wife. She's like, "Why did you tell that person that's your name?" And I was like, "Because he's sneaky.
We're from the Bay, bro. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't know. No, he's probably trying to run a credit card scam on us. No,
Exactly.
I'll
Mr.
just
Aurelius,
straight-
bro. You know, and I'm light-skinned, so
Right.
I could be Sicilian.
be.
We don't know. We don't know.
I'll throw on an accent in a minute and just be like Fernando, and you're not.
My
getting
grandfather
anything.
was from Sicily. You know,
Or my favorite used to be, you know, especially when I traveled to the East Coast, like, you know, there'd always be some, like, you know, faded woman of privilege who would say something in a bar to me like, "What are you?" And I'd be like, "Well, my dad's Bajoran and my mom is from Cardassia."
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's hella funny, but yeah, I've
They
definitely
wouldn't. They went, "Wow, where's Bajor?" I'm like, "Oh, it's
it's down there outside of
you know.
Turkmenistan." So
yeah."
if you don't know Turkmenistan, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to convey. You know.
Yeah.
So they just go, okay. You know what I'm saying?
It's over there. Look on a map.
Yeah,
Look on a
man.
map.
You know what I mean? It's funny.
So there's a lot going on. The obvious elephant in the room, or the elephant that can't leave the room. We're doing our shared podcast, video cast, based on the fact that we're not allowed to leave the house, really, except to work out. And we're all just figuring out how to do this, man. We're all stuck in our houses with our family.
Yeah.
Unless you're not, unless you don't care and you're out there acting a fool or doing these corona challenges and ending up in the hospital 18 hours later. That's not going to be me.
No. If I get corona, bro, it did a great job because I have done everything. You know what I mean? If I get corona, it won, bro. You know what I'm saying? I have to throw up a dove and a peace sign to it because I really tried to avoid
right, or because while you're sleeping, someone snuck in the window and was like,
yeah, just coughed on my neck or something. You know? Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just trying to figure this out. What does this mean? Everything is on delay. Everything's on hold. We're not getting our Marvel movies. Our UFC fights, we've lost 2 weeks of UFC fights. And here's the real interesting one, as we've been talking about back and forth. Tony Ferguson said he's still down to fight. Dana White says he wants to have a fight. Most fighters think they're crazy for keeping the UFC. Khabib is back in Russia. Like, I'm out. Peace. I'm just changing. So the rumor is that it will be Tony Ferguson and Conor McGregor.
Please, Allah, please show.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
In this coronavirus era, inshallah, if Allah, please just let this fight happen.
What if God does not want Tony Ferguson and Khabib to fight?
I've already stated, okay, as a practitioner of the Muslim faith, and you know, I am no imam. I hold no rank in the faith whatsoever. I'm just a bare bones shuffling down the street Muslim. You know what I mean? That's it. I believe that if Khabib, my brother Khabib, you know what I'm saying, were to come across Tony Ferguson in this octagon, that the beating would be so severe that Allah is putting he's creating a protection for Tony's well-being, right? By not allowing his entire being to be dismantled by my brother Khabib.
And it could go the verse the other way, right? It could be that.
No, it's really not. It's really Allah just making sure that Tony doesn't get his jaw dislocated and thrown into the stands.
It could be that God has other plans for Khabib and he doesn't want him to lose. But either way, 5 times, really, they don't want them to fight. Like, man, and I'm one of those men, wants them to fight.
Right.
But let's go through this. Injury on Khabib 1.
Yep. Was that when he didn't cut weight, or he cut weight and he was messed up?
No, he was injured. His back went out.
Okay.
Then he didn't make weight the second time. Right?
And that's when he was all sucked up and he was posting about it and he was looking all withered. Right.
Yeah. Third time he didn't make weight, kidney went out.
Okay.
4th time, those pesky cables got in the way and took out
we still need to know exactly what happened in that moment, bro, because that's hilarious. No matter how you cut it, that was hilarious, blood.
And now a global pandemic.
When
the symbology of here is so obvious to me.
When Allah is spreading pestilence throughout the earth, we just have to acknowledge that maybe some things are not in the cards. For some
this is not in the cards. I'm accepting that. I'm accepting that as I'm just at peace with this. Like, the whole process has made me at peace. Like, I need to spend more time with my wife and walk. That's what I'm cleaning the house.
Water.
There's so much I'm learning from this. Okay.
But what I outside of all the stuff I just said, like in jest, I do actually believe that for whatever reason, it's not meant to be, because I remember seeing their I remember when they were at the pre-fight thingy and they had the belt, and then Khabib booted his belt after Tony had laid it down, and I was like, oh, it's getting hella real. And I said, okay, let's see if Allah wants this fight to happen. That's all I said. I didn't say I don't want it to happen. I just said, let's see if Allah wants it to happen, because I was like, I can't see anything that would prevent it. And then Allah said, hold my tea.
Here's
and he just
let's talk about in the last 4 years. No, not even the 4 years. Let's talk about in the history of our hip hop lifetimes.
Right.
Scariest things in America. And this is before social media and after, right?
Right.
Muslims who might be violent.
Right.
Mexicans who might be violent.
Right.
Biological spreading epidemics.
All the stuff that really wrecked us from far away, like, when Escobar blew up the embassy in Bogota. You know what I mean? Like, it still wasn't really like American.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, until 9/11, the first 9/11 bombing. Because remember that first guy did it, the blind guy, the guy with one eye?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Blew up like the World Trade.
Right. Thank you. And we still
that's where he gets that. That's where Big gets that line.
Absolutely. Tell him. So I think what's interesting is when you look at all these factors and you go, okay, if there's a cultural thing that scares people, this is it. This is this moment. I'm accepting it. I'm accepting that Khabib and Tony Ferguson can never fight. This is edict.
We have to respect nature.
This is
the guy who the stoic in me says, right, the Stoics are taught to observe nature and embrace it and embody it.
This is the way, right? This is the way. You and I have been talking about Taoism all week, right? This is the way.
Come on, man.
Okay?
So it's
Check
like,
one. This is the fiat, right? Maybe Ferguson is Catholic. That's the fiat. What is it? What is the Muslim law?
The Muslim law is whatever God wants will happen.
But
And there's
what's the
wisdom
term for
in
that?
it.
What is that? The I'm gonna be ignorant. What is that? Is that an infantada? What is
You
it
know,
called? Like,
it's not an empanada.
yeah, it's not. It sounds delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that halal? Sounds delicious.
I mean, for my great lack of Arabic, I would just say Allah's decree.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
like,
It's just what Allah's decree is.
Is this Sharia law? Is this what they're scared of? Is this right? Like any world spiritual system you chop this.
Right,
the
like
great
the Buddhist karma, right?
Bro, heaven and earth and the big-headed scientists on a spaceship have decreed.
Yeah, on the island of Ceylon, it's not going down.
It's not going down. If you book it again, they're going to let a nuke off. Leave it alone. Got it. Understood. I accept.
Yeah, man. It's really deep, too, because...
It's very deep.
Because
I've never in my life seen anything like this.
A global pandemic, bro.
I've never seen anything like this. Offline, I could tell you some parallels in hip hop that it reminds me of, but I'm still not convinced. Like, you and I are close.
Right.
I still don't. There's things I just will not say on camera because I don't know how to tell the truth without sounding like I'm getting at somebody or I'm making fun.
I think you should do it anyway, though. I think you need to step into the AM, bro.
You and I have a mutual friend who was supposed to put out an album for years, right?
Okay.
Every time this album was supposed to come out, absolute calamity would happen. You know
absolute calamity. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Like, not normal stuff. Like literally like the ending of the Blues Brothers. like the studio was flooded.
Right.
The person they were dating like shot up their ADATs. Like,
right.
Calamity.
Bizarre fires.
Was leaving the studio with DATs and got robbed. Like, just, and I paid for 3 of those albums. You know what I mean? That never came out, right? Like, I'm with you. So that's what this reminds me of.
It's unbelievable, you know? And
if I don't say any names, it's safe.
No, totally. I think that at the end of the day, what we're dealing with is a situation that, like, we just got to acknowledge, like, the universe is not checking for this fight.
No.
And, you know, the Islamic perspective on it is that, you know, they call it a hikmah. There's a wisdom in what Allah does. Right. Just people would say, you know, like, you know, it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that most people who have nothing to do with religion, but they watch the patterns in Mother Nature would say that, you know, you know, what Mother Nature puts forward, you cannot stop it. And there is a wisdom in it. Now, what that wisdom is, we don't know. This could be about Khabib. Maybe he's hiddenly depressed and, like, if he lost, he might, like, jump off one of them cliffs over in Dagestan. And we don't know that. But we don't know that.
I am saying that the forces that be do not want Ferguson or Nurmagomedov to lose.
To do this. So look at Ferguson. So then here goes Ferguson, right? This guy, I mean, like, I don't think it's a secret that he's got some mental health issues. You know what I'm saying?
Which is hard because you gotta have mental health issues to walk into the cage.
That I'm not sure of, but you could be right. But it's probably
was there
more
ever a
often
time
than
in
not.
your life? Was there ever a time in your life where you're like, you know what? I'm ready to go fight.
No, but I came in different.
Agreed. That's what
I came in married. And I was like, yo, if you're gonna get married, you gotta protect, you know what I mean? But that's different.
Your family.
Like, but like BJ Penn was there, right? BJ Penn was there. He could be argued that he has some mental health issues at this point.
Thank you. And he had a family. That's my point. Bro, there's not a well-adjusted good fighter in MMA. There's not. Speaking of unwell-adjusted
No.
fighters,
What about Khabib?
Khabib comes from a warrior class. Like, they're the Klingons of Eastern Europe.
So are we saying that, like, Americans specifically have to be crazy?
Well, let's put it this way.
Because if you come from
Let me give you some
culture,
proxies. Do you know what the state that gives the largest percentage of Navy SEALs is?
Ooh, that's hella crazy. No, enlighten.
Texas.
No shit.
Second.
If it's not Texas? It's got to be Oregon.
No. Alaska, third. Vermont, fourth.
No way.
Right. So let's just do an environmental scan. What's going on? Let's just start with Texas.
He said, "What's going on?"
You know what is it about what's in the water? What's in the water? What's in the culture, right?
Oh, that is deeply questionable. Like, it's lightweight troubling.
Right. Lone Star State, concealed carry, long history of, you want a problem, we'll give you a problem.
History of violence.
History of violence.
Jedi Mind Tricks called that album.
You know what I'm getting at? It's also the place where they have the lowest amount of shooters because somebody walks into a school and it's
everybody's got it. Everybody's strapped.
You're gonna go. They'll blow you away in church. You play with their kids. So, and then Alaska's that same culture and it's in the wilderness, so they're used to blowing you away.
And there's bears and shit too.
Yeah, and also it's gonna take 45 minutes for the cops to get here. Mess with me, right?
At that point, I've left the scene stealthily.
Right. And then Vermont, same kind of culture, right? But they're also on some like rugged dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, again, you know how many savage kickboxers come from New England? They got that, I got plenty of time today. It's snowing. I'm doing target practice. So my point is, I'm just talking, and I would say as a proxy, Dagestan operates in that way for the Russian Empire.
That's fair.
So you're around a culture of people who are ready to go, bro.
I would say, I think Tony's bonkers. He tries though. Like I don't say that like with any sense of mockery in it. You know what I mean? Like he comes off crazy, bro. He comes off like he needs a lot of he needs a lot of therapy.
You're gonna react because you need to. Your immune system is gonna say, I feel like that's a jab against the West.
No, it's really not, man. Like
I feel like Tony Ferguson is every Southern Californian Chicano fighter I know.
He's every one of the guys who like grew up like, kind of a surferish. Like, cause he's got the edge of the surfer bro. He's got the surfer bro under. Yeah,
gangbanger. Went to college. You know what I'm talking about? And again, let's go back. Who does he train with?
Eddie, bro.
Come on, man. Come on.
I love Eddie, man.
I love Eddie.
He's a crazy dude.
He's a crazy dude, but he's also a Mexican.
Who
started off in heavy metal, found his way into jiu-jitsu.
That's right.
Figured out how to hack the system overnight, and is currently a huge flat earther and Trump supporter. Now, these things don't add up.
I saw him co-signing Trump on Gordon Ryan's page, and I was, we need to leave that alone. We need to leave all of that alone because I'm not into that.
I'm just saying, I don't care.
I still do got love for all Trump supporters, despite their voting for Trump.
I got love for people. Exactly. I got love, as we've talked about, and you've offline, right? You're like, yo, when are you gonna walk away from your boy? Yeah, I'm like, I'm not. Anyways, I'm not. I got love.
Mental health.
Okay, that's my point. So, like everybody we've seen, and then also at the same time, I have to leave a door open for the fact that when you and I were training and all our friends were in the club partying, and we were taking our steps away, we were called crazy.
Yeah, it's just weird,
Why are you? That's weird. What are you talking about? Taoism. Why would you get up at 5 a.m. and go run?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean you don't mess with groupies? That was so crazy compared to what? I'm just So.
But then.
Tony is not well. I agree with you, but you have to be unwell to want to go in there. And
I think barring it not being in your culture, like we just said, Khabib is, right?
But I think that's back to the press conference. That's part of Tony's culture. He's like, I'm from Oxnard. Like you don't think I street fight?
Yeah. Oxnard. Shout out to Oxnard. You know what I'm saying? It's a great place.
Shout out to Los Angeles County and the areas around it for just these pocket dimensions that you create where you want to tell yourself, you ain't hard, that ain't Compton, and then you drive through like Fontana and you're like, oh, let me shut myself up.
Or like I think there's a city.
up.
I think it's Santa Maria.
Yeah.
It's right next to Oxnard. Hey man, like if you call somebody from Santa, hey, don't you be in Oxnard? They'd be like, I'm from Santa.
Right.
They'd be hella mad, bro. Like, don't play, bro. Like,
right.
You will get, you know what I'm saying? They will get at you, bro.
Right.
West Coast culture, bro, that people don't understand. Out here, bro.
And speaking of crazy, John Jones is doing great. I really appreciate his.
Okay, now what I'm about to say right now is about to make a lot of people angry, but I don't care. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, and I mean it. You know that picture of the nerd kid when he's turned around in his chair and he's pointing? This is my moment. This is me. This is why the government shouldn't have broken down the Nation of Islam. Now, what do I mean when I say that? What a lot of people, and I say this as someone who's not in the Nation of Islam. I'm a Muslim and I am black, but I am not in the Nation of Islam, and that's your job to go figure out the theology there. Very different. That's all I'll say. It's very different.
And that's not the same as saying go look it up. But
yeah. I'm just saying it's like it's not an easy.
That. That's your job.
You
to
have
do that
to know
work.
that. Yeah, you have to know that. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to do that.
I agree.
So here's the deal. One of the things the Nation of Islam was really well known for and loved for, rightfully, was getting black addicts straight. They got a lot of people off heroin.
And removed recidivism rates.
Right.
In jail.
Okay. Big time, right? And so this is why when people be like, why are people in the Nation of Islam? I don't get it. That's what you don't get. You don't get the work that you don't see. Oftentimes, because quite simply, and I'm not trying to be an asshole, you don't care because you don't know how dark it is over there.
I will also add a level. America has an addiction drug problem.
Right.
It spends time pointing fingers. So if you don't admit to yourself an addictual personality, you can't see it in others, and then you can't understand who is effective at stopping it.
Right. So that was fantastically said. So what I'm going to tell you is they got a lot of people, especially black people, who just would have been conceived and considered as trash and forgotten. Okay. He gave them lives. I've seen the Nation of Islam take drug dealers, dudes who were real shooters.
Yes.
6ix9ine Village. You understand what I'm talking about? 6ix9ine Village in Oakland. I mean, and I've seen them be amazing human beings, amazing fathers, amazing husbands, amazing teachers, amazing mentors. And so what I'm saying is that years ago, I was talking with a friend of mine, and I told him, I said, American Muslims, man, like, we're never going to be right until we can bring back what the nation used to do in terms of getting people clean. Because I said, that's what built the love and respect for Islam, and that's what built the loyalty. And we don't have that anymore. And so now you see all of these, who's the 49er guy who he was crashing cars, having parties in San Jose, and then the police would show up. I don't know. He's just kind of gone now. But really, in the last 10 years, there was a black dude who was on the Niners. And a lot of you real athletic people, you already know who I'm talking about. I don't know it because I don't follow sports.
Right.
What I'm saying is there were some people I know that are Muslim that tried to help him, and it didn't work. You know what I mean? It didn't work. What is my point? My point is that whatever that blueprint was that Elijah Muhammad had, we need to go back to it, because John Jones in the old days would have came out the clink, bro, after getting bailed out, and there'd be some dudes with some bow ties being like, we need to speak with you.
I'm going to give you a controversial answer. And you and I have talked about this, and I don't want to go too far in it.
It's all good.
How do you perform the universal beatdown on the person who God has decided has the natural gifted athletics and body type to be the greatest martial artist of all time? Well,
I mean, the truth is, if you could resurrect the ghost of Haleo and have him go against John Jones, it probably wouldn't go good for him. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Really? Think Haleo, one-on-one, you think Haleo chokes him out?
No, I think Haleo loses to John Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you could resurrect Haleo Gracie, I don't think you could beat John Jones right now. Because that's how great John Jones is. But the beatdown that we're talking about isn't physical. It's mental and spiritual.
Right.
He has a spiritual disease. And so that's why the Nation of Islam was so crucial, because they could take a guy like him and speak to his spirit, not the fighter, the spirit.
But if we just take this, I've never received one of those. I don't think you have.
Yeah, thankfully.
But if we just say from source material, we go to the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Right.
And then we say maybe some of this is not true because Alex Haley's history. What was reported in that? I'm only referencing things that any of our listeners could go and find on their own.
Right.
I'm not going to use my first person.
Right. No, I'm with you.
But if you go and look at that stuff, they're talking about, a lot of the stuff to get people off heroin was basically being in a room, breaking your habit, and getting whooped when you started doing addict stuff to try out and get another fix.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, I'm sure it wouldn't be OSHA certified, you know what I'm saying? But we will say that it was effective, you know what I'm saying?
Done with you. OSHA. Yeah.
I'm saying that ability to reach into the heart of a good man like John Jones, because I say good man not because the person who's running the lights and taking the guns and crashing the rides, that's not who he is naturally. You know what I'm saying? We all know that. If anybody on here has known anybody in addiction, you knew some really great people who got spun out. You know what I mean? And so, like, he needs that love, man. He needs that love, and he's not getting it.
Say that, because it's like I feel like maybe he's always been that crazy guy, and he needs that stuff. He needs to maintain the edge to do the crazy things. But I think if you saw the Dominic Reyes fight, that wick on that candle is running out. You know what I mean? Like, John Jones won that fight, but he's not going to get away with this too much longer.
He's got about 3 in him. I'll be shocked if he has 3 more fights in him.
He thinks he does. He thinks he's going to be, but I think, I agree with you.
I don't think.
I think he's chasing those highs to get crazy, to get back in that octagon, and I think it's going to catch up with him in a very bad way.
The thing is that just talking about addiction, there's a guy named Gabor Mate, who's a very profound addiction expert.
Okay.
And it's like GABORMATE. Everyone go look this man up. Okay. He's unbelievable. But essentially what he's saying is that every addiction is rooted in a trauma.
Yes.
Right? From your childhood. So he's trying to treat addiction not by virtue of like what you're taking, but helping you discover why you take it.
Yes.
And so if these victories in the octagon, if his wife and his children, if the spiritual path he's taken so far, if his coaches, look at Jackson and all these really brilliant people around him, right?
Yeah.
So if they can't make him stop, then we know that collectively, all of that together isn't enough.
And we also, there's a lot of assumptions in there.
Right. You know what I mean? So I think
we assume that the circle cares.
Right. You know what I mean? Some people
might be,
may
as long
not.
as the money's flowing.
Right. You know what I mean?
Don't mess up the formula.
And then you also just have that other part of the reality of every human being is that, I still remember one day I was with RZA in LA. I think it was LA. And he was just talking about that nobody can make him unhappy.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at him and being like, I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, I literally had no idea what he was talking about. Now, I do.
Right.
I didn't then.
With enough wisdom, it kind of like, it adds up.
And just enduring pain. You know what I mean? Just enduring pain. And so, like, I totally understand some of the things that RZA says in Casual. It takes me a couple of years to figure out. They're like Zen koans or something. But what I'll tell you is that
speaking of which, remember I was telling you earlier this week about Tragedy?
Yeah. Hell of a song.
I'm just like, there's like segments of 8 bars of RZA verses now that I'm like, I thought I got it 20 years ago. Now I'm like, I wonder if you've been rapping from 2020.
Oh my God. He's got a track right now in blank. It's called like Shadow Flash. It's off the Ghost Dog soundtrack. It's called like something Shadow.
Right.
And his verse on there is bonkers. So
okay.
But anyway, what I'm saying is that John Jones isn't happy. John Jones needs love. John Jones needs a hug. He doesn't need to be judged. He doesn't need to be clowned. And he has so many people who just don't like him, quite honestly. I hate to do this just because he's a black champion who's just like not stoppable. And so it's easy to write him off as a basehead. That's who they really are. Don't be an asshole, blood. There's so many white sports stars who have been destroyed by addiction. Like, you shouldn't get any even if you hate him as a fighter, You shouldn't wish this on him, man. I
No,
don't like to see anybody.
I had a lot of issues. It took me a long time to get to that vocal point with him. But once he started smoke with a lot of people, I was like, okay, the gloves come off. You know what I mean? Like, it was after the DC thing, and once he had a lot to say about other people and their lifestyle, I was like, okay. You know? Like, the one that really did it for me is when Anderson got knocked out, and he said, you know, and Anderson's supposed to be his mentor, and he said Anderson tempted the fight gods and paid the price, and I was like, that just showed me who you are. And then all the way up to, of course, you know, now he wants to play Twitter games with Israel. So I'm like, no, no, you're that good. You're a bully. You're gonna get all the smoke that you. But yeah, I mean, it's sad because I also saw when DC lost his father, John Jones was one of the first people to tweet and be like, hey, man, we've had our differences, but my heart really goes out to you.
But you know what I love? That's how real fighters are. Like, I read a book called Muhammad Ali's Greatest Fight. I haven't read many books. It's the only book I've read on Muhammad Ali. But it starts from the day he said he wouldn't go into the Vietnam War until the day he won in the Supreme Court. In any case, between that and a movie about Ali, you know, about how him and not George Foreman, who's the other guy? Who's the guy that broke his jaw? The guy that broke Ali's jaw when they did the Thrill in Manila.
Frazier?
Yeah, I should know this. So they were really close. You know what I mean? And like even Foreman, if people disrespect Ali now, George Foreman will slap their shit into like the 80s. He'll slap them into the 80s. They'll wake up in like 84, 85. And it's like, that's because real warriors understand what it means to be at this place, at this level. And so when I see so many fans, and I hate to make it racial, especially white fans,
Ken Norton,
really just like, I think you're right. It is Ken Norton. Yeah, I think you're right. And the thing is like, you know, it's not right to mock a man in the throes of addiction. And the same America, here's what I'm saying. You want to get deep? The same white dudes that get online and get hella racial and disrespectful about John Jones are in the same families that have opiate addiction problems. And they want compassion for their family members, the same compassion they don't give John Jones, and that's why I get hot.
And then we'll at the dinner table talk about the heroin addicts in their city and how they're a problem.
You know what I mean? Facts. Meanwhile, little Johnny's crushing up grandma's oxy. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And it's like this is what's sad, right? And so like, you know what I'm saying, I'm just speaking as someone who genuinely just like hates to see addicts, man. Like we should whatever you think should be done spiritually or culturally for John Jones, whether that's prayer, meditation, take him out to a Native American, you know,
sweat lodge,
sweat lodge, bro. We got to take him to Mecca, bro. Even though they shut it down, we got to open it up real quick so John Jones can get his 7 circuits on, whatever, blood. Like, because it's sad to see him, man, because he's a great dude, man. I feel like he's like the Darryl Strawberry of MMA. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. Maybe. I used to call him the Kobe of MMA, but I feel like there's no way I could talk about that anymore without getting people.
Yeah. I mean, the whole that thing. Just
so.
But no, I mean, really, I don't want to see him going out like this. But it's all
no. And again, you know, I mean, I'm sympathetic. I've never had any type of like artificial substance powdered addiction in that way, right?
Yeah, me either, man.
My struggle.
I had drinking problems and I had chewing tobacco.
Cigarettes, right? That was it. But But I do understand and I do agree with that like if you're not willing to look at the root cause and then run it through the logic equation.
Yeah, man.
Right? I am doing this because of this. It's going to give me this result. Did I get that result? No. Then maybe I should stop doing it. But it's hard.
Tough, man.
It's tough. And there's also some part of it, you know, you have to be honest with your darker sides and your shadows and that part of yourself that says, why should I have to stop? You know, make me and that kind of that, you know, and respond to it. But you're right. You do need this access, you know, of, you know, unconditional love and absolute authority. Like, I'm not letting you back down.
Yeah.
This, you know?
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's saying that McGregor is going to fight Tony.
Yeah.
To fix what God is not allowing between those two. Who you got?
Again, anytime McGregor fights, it's McGregor by capitalism.
See, I don't like that answer. That's horrible.
I know. The only person.
Please tell the listeners what you mean when you say that, and then we're going to continue.
I covered this on my previous fight or my previous cool down, but let me walk this back. Let's talk about McGregor versus Cerrone.
Mm-hmm.
McGregor picked a person where his game plan, he could put minimal effort in and get maximum output.
Yeah.
He's an MMA entrepreneur. So he'd already seen that Cerrone had just fought in June of 2019, Tony Ferguson, whose elbows stopped his nose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then shortly after that, a nose break, if you're really going to fight in MMA,
right?
You know, I just had my nose broken. You need 9 months. But Cerrone was back 5 months later fighting his training partner, Justin Gaethje.
Right.
So if I'm McGregor, I'm sitting there watching this guy and saying, you got a fucked up nose. Right? So you put him up against Cerrone. He's going to say yes. He's got to draw, so you're going to make the money. Right?
Yeah.
He's got sponsorship money, so he doesn't need a big piece of the pay-per-view. And you look at the strategy. You know, the first thing, you know, McGregor does is he throws the big hand. Cerrone ducks under. Cool. From there, 3 to 5 shoulder strikes directly to the nose. The fight's over.
What about the idea, too, that Cerrone's kind of a slow starter, so he wouldn't be ready for the immediate. He's looking for a warm-up round.
Correct, and McGregor's the opposite too. That McGregor's not good in the later rounds. Agreed.
Yeah, the longer a fight goes with McGregor, the longer it's gonna. So when you say McGregor by capitalism, you're saying that you think he's going to beat Tony ultimately. That's what you're saying.
I do, because I think Tony takes too many rope-a-dope shots.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And McGregor, once he hurts him, is not going to go down and try to engage him on the ground. He's gonna break. He's
gonna chop him.
So there's no.
Yeah, it's really strange because while I gotta say, Khabib is the only person to stop that whole gravy train from McGregor.
Yeah.
I think that Tony would have to put McGregor in his closed guard.
Yes.
In order to beat him.
Or mount him, right? As we saw.
Yeah.
Or mount him.
I don't know if his wrestling is better than McGregor's, man.
But then again, Tony might do a nasty ankle pick, right? And we saw that McGregor's, you know, when he throws a lot of power, he gives up the single leg.
He does.
So
he does.
It's interesting. There's some part of my mind, and people will call it MMA math, but there's some part of this game that I love that is still Rochambeau. That this counters this. This person counters this.
Yeah.
So there is some science that says, to me, Khabib 9 times out of 10 beats McGregor. McGregor 9 times out of 10 beats Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
But Ferguson beats Khabib 9 times out of 10. I know you don't want to hear that, but there's just some part of my mind that says that, and that's how it's balanced. But of that last statement, we're never going to find out. The best you could do is play UFC.
Cause dude, this pandemic's gonna wreck MMA for like 2 years, and by that time, Khabib's out.
This fight, there's no way this fight is gonna be allowed to happen. The next time, if they book Tony versus Khabib number 6, a kraken will come out of the sea, open its mouth, and begin the song of the Leviathan.
Dude, it's out of control.
There's no way this fight can happen anymore. So I've given up.
This is why the Muslims say Allahu Alam. Allahu Alam, it means only Allah knows. You know what I mean? Like, well, why did this happen? Allahu Alam. Only Allah knows. We don't know. We have no idea.
And God ain't willing. God don't want this happen. God was like, nah.
Not on this one, guys. Not on this one. The pandemic, I'm green lighting the pandemic. But this fight is not happening.
No, God stuffed this takedown. No. Question we've been talking about. And I don't even want to get into the big question.
Yes.
Albums are coming out. Our friends are responding in hysteria because I think they have too much time on their hands because they're at home.
There's a lot, yeah.
There's this expectation now of anybody who comes from our era or raps like they're from our era that they are making a classic hip-hop album. When I hear the word classic, everybody, I don't think they're transparent enough to say it, but it seems like they mean timeless. A timeless album that you can come back to.
Right.
Okay. What is the scorecard for a timeless classic hip-hop album? How do we judge that? What's the criteria? So you and I, we have some teaching background. If I was going to make a rubric, how do we make a scorecard for the classic hip-hop album? What's going to make it stand the test of time? And then I think
the first thing is going to be the beat.
So what do you mean by the beat? Like,
I mean, like, look at someone like, you know, Dr. Dre, right?
Yeah.
How many people has he just made blazers with that cannot thrive outside of his ecosystem?
But that's him as an artist. Is that the album? So you're basically saying the beat still just has to bump?
Yeah, because without that, the lyrics don't even really get heard, man. Like, I mean, like, look, you and I both love Sean P, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sean Price, you know what I'm saying? Like one of the hardest dudes. And I actually like the bulk of his production as a hip hop, as a head.
As a head, right.
Dubs, right? The head guy, I mean, like, oh, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm all in. However, I also understand this guy doesn't do 16 bars with choruses and bridges. I understand, right? So he's never going to get the accolades of Eminem. He's never going to get the accolades of so many other like amazing Scarface. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
like,
but again,
but Scarface had that production. Never seen a man cry. Come on, bro.
Right, so it has to be.
So this isn't even like it has to be a West Coast thing.
Right, no, it has to just be very good production.
DJ Premier, right? DJ Premier. And
so it's got to bump, your head nods, your nose turns
unquestionable. Yeah, unquestionable.
Or you dance to it.
Right.
Okay? Danceable. Still.
It evokes emotion. The beat has to evoke emotion.
Oh, good one.
You know what I'm talking about?
Evokes emotion.
Take that mood, boy. Because sometimes, you know, Sean Price will get you in that mood. You know what I'm saying?
Right. A lot of it is just that.
Yeah. Jedi mind tricks. You know what I mean?
Like
just
onion heads just.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? So it's got to be the beat. Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Once we get past that.
Right.
I'm going to say. So much of it. I'm going to say the hook. The hook.
Not just now. We're not just talking about songs. We're talking about a whole album. So
the hooks.
There are some great albums. There's some great albums where songs don't even have a hook, bro.
Give me 3 classic albums that have songs with mediocre hooks.
I'm not even saying mediocre. I'm talking like they may not even have a hook.
So tell me what these albums are, blood. I'm contesting that.
I feel like if I do that and I jump ahead, I'll spoil our system.
No.
I'm
just saying, give me one example. Just one example of an album without hooks that is unquestionably classic.
Our definition of classic is going to be, we're still trying to figure that out. I'm just saying,
but even by the nebulous outer clouds of the Andromeda galaxy, what's one?
Yeah, I feel like if I say that, then I'm spoiling our experiment.
All right. So
I just want you to entertain the notion that some rap songs don't have a hook and they're on classic albums.
Okay, but we're not talking about songs. We're talking about albums. So what I'm saying is, like, for instance, Nas's The Lost Tapes 2, right?
Okay.
That shit had me crying like a fucking newborn up in this bitch. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like real tears in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like It's a Beautiful Life, you know, which did have a hook, however. You know what I mean? But one of the things that I paid attention to. That's a song.
We're talking about an album.
But here's what I'm saying. But when I listened to the Lost Tapes, I understood why those were lost tapes. Those hooks were hella suspect. All of the hooks were suspect. And if you compare him to someone that we consider not to be very lyrical, 50 Cent, right? What is Fifth's strength? It is hooks, dog.
Right?
He's going to bring hooks. His bars, I don't think there's anybody outside of in the club. I don't think that there's anybody who can really go run a bar, maybe 16 bars from 50 Cent outside of maybe like Ghetto Quran and like maybe the chicks who if they like just a little bit or something. But what I'm saying is like, he's not known for his bars, bro.
Right.
He's known for his hooks, right? If Nas hired Fifth to make his hooks, Nas would look like the god of the universe. But he doesn't have hooks. If you look at his albums, and he has many classic albums, but his hooks, sketch. They're uneven. I don't want to say that they're sketchy. I'll say they're uneven.
That's one of the arguments, right? Like his Untitled album.
Yeah.
That it was Stick and Jay Elec who did all the hooks.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's a big deal.
So
like
what are we saying? Are they what is it? We're singable hooks? Memorable hooks? What are we saying?
I would have to say that they have to be fun and memorable. Fun and memorable. Because like OPP, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That was fun and memorable.
Okay.
You know, Hip Hop Hooray. You know what I mean? Again, Tresh had many dope moments. He also had a lot of mediocres, but his hooks were...
Speaking of which, side note, did you see Tom Hanks' wife singing?
That's my point. I was just about to go there. And that's my point, right? Because when completely privileged, not there at all, ass white women like her can jump all the way into Hip Hop Hooray. Now, am I suggesting that's the first time she heard it? Of course not. I'm sure she's heard it a long time.
Her whole life since her childhood.
That's my point. That middle-aged white women like her.
So you're basically saying crossover potential. Hooks have crossover potential.
They're part of what make you amazing.
They transcend the genre.
Yeah, they're part of what make you amazing, for sure.
Okay, sure.
So what do we got? We got production.
Hooks.
And then actual bars, right?
So local content.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And what do we need to have from that for it to be a classic album?
I'm going to say that in general, it's going to need to be lyrically visual, right? Like, you know, probably good stories.
Good stories, okay.
Right?
I'm going to say believability.
Important. Yeah.
Because there are people who have done great albums, but I knew that wasn't their voice. I just being a ghostwriter, I knew it was, you know what I mean? I was like, you did not sell the character well.
Right. No, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's totally fair. Yeah.
Like, for example, Denzel Washington is a phenomenal actor.
Right.
Not just a phenomenal black actor.
Right.
But there are times when it's Denzel Washington is the character, and there's other times when it's Denzel Washington.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And he's just like, and he's somewhere, I remember the one where he was the cop in Florida and he was like, went through a time machine. It's like,
yeah.
My man. And you're like, no, you can't be on some my man shit. We just saw you in an American Gangster. Like, yeah,
American Gangster, right.
Yo, you can't just keep being Denzel. Right. Okay. Book of Eli, though. You forget that the actor can't see or can see. You know what I mean? Right. Agreed. Okay. So lyrical content. The other one I would add is cohesion.
Right.
Like the album has to make sense. Right.
And
like
this is where
songs have to.
The old generation, where our generation and the new ones doesn't see eye to eye anymore.
Because they don't make albums; they make playlists.
Right.
They're a shuffle. They don't. It means nothing because they press shuffle.
Right. So they don't. And that's also why someone like Lil Uzi Vert and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole can look so amazing because they take classic ideas like "Let Me Have That Cohesion."
Yes.
That a lot of today's rappers don't ever think about.
Correct.
So then when he does, they'd be like, "Oh, this fool thought about everything."
Right.
Yeah, that's how you used to do it.
It's called
you used to think about everything and then call it 3 Feet High and Rising. You used to think about everything and call it Nation of Millions. You used to think about everything and call it Straight Outta Compton.
Fact.
But because everybody is just now, I'm just trying to get 2 minutes with something fun on the end of the hook. It's like, man, like the bar is just falling.
Well, did you ever hear that story about Hove? Where he was talking about after he finished the second Blueprint and he was thinking about the retirement album and that he was hanging out with Bono.
Right.
And Bono was like, don't get worried. I just been talking on a podcast. I'm fine. Thank you.
My man. We'll remember that cough in 14 days.
Right. I just need to blow my nose.
I'm just kidding.
Anyways, he was talking about telling Hove that all he had basically made mixtapes with commercial hits his whole career. And Hove said, what are you talking about? You don't listen to my music. And Bono would start schooling him like, no, you haven't made an album since Reasonable Doubt, blah, 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 blah. And that's what became the Black Album. Was that he hired Questlove to help him find the cohesion. Because he had never had to before, right?
That's hella deep, man. Now, you know what's interesting? I'm glad you told me that because I'm a Jay-Z. I'm a fan of Jay-Z as an entrepreneur. I'm not the biggest fan of him lyrically, and I don't know his work like I should. You know what I mean? Like I really don't. Like I know certain songs, certain whatever, but I'm not like like if someone ever wanted to like drag me into the deep water of hip hop, they would talk about Jay-Z because I don't know shit. You know what I mean? I can tell you about stuff that he's done. I couldn't tell you about that album. No,
I'm that way with Biggie Smalls. But there's not a lot of material to review either.
Man, like, and people don't even talk about that about Big, bro. Like, to me,
it's
if you talk about bro, first 2 albums, bro. Everything after that is crazy suspect.
I'm gonna say something and I'm gonna get in trouble. This is how I feel.
I'm not a hater of Big, by the way.
I'm not right.
I'm just saying.
Just because I'm a Pac fan doesn't make me a hater. Biggie Smalls is the Steven Seagal of hip hop.
That was a little tougher hit than I expected.
Meaning at the time, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Above the Law,
golden in their moments in that window.
You could not be here today without it.
Real.
But if you put Steven Seagal in a room with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jean-Claude's gonna beat him up. If you put
over and over again.
or you put him up against Billy Blanks. Yes, right. Facts. And that's just the dirty secret of and even John Claude ain't that guy. But that's the dirty secret of
but he's closer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. That's just the dirty secret of those of us who actually know how to fight, which is
But then that almost implied, look, I agree with you in principle, but the only thing is that like Big was dope, bro. Like, remember that? What was that track with the harps? Boom, 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 boom. Blood. Remember when he was talking about robbing that dude when he was with his blood? That was a great story. That is symbolic of a almost flawless hip hop song.
Great storytelling, right? But again, if we're comparing it, like, okay, great storytelling, great MC,
and that didn't have a hook. To your point.
I was trying to save you. I wasn't
trying to save me, blood. You forgot that song didn't have a hook.
No. I didn't even listen to that song because I don't mess with Big. I just never was into Big. I can be honest about it. There's a bunch of stuff like people are like, oh, you're not really
a story to tell. The song is called A Story to Tell.
Right.
Please listen to it though.
Check. No, I've heard that, but it's like, oh, you didn't. No, I'm not. And that's also he was talking about Nas. He was talking about robbing Nas on that song. I know all about that.
Nah, he wasn't talking about Nas. He was talking about a basketball player. But there was an article about who the basketball player was.
And the basketball player admitted it, right.
I'm saying, I don't think he mentioned
I'll send you the links.
Song.
Point is, okay, what are we at? So we got production, hook, lyrical content, cohesion.
And that's it. I think that's it.
What about concept?
That falls under the umbrella of cohesion to me.
Okay.
That falls under the umbrella of cohesion.
Okay, and that's it. So these four.
Yeah.
What about my last one? I would actually say is supporting cast.
That matters, and that was a big deal.
If you have features, do they add on to what you're doing, or are you just trying to get you know what I mean?
I think what you have is features, but now I think that the use of features has been bastardized by the industry, and I'll tell you exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
When hieroglyphics was starting to take over the planet, Dell put out a single for his second album, and on the B side, there was an unknown cat named Pep Love on there with Q-Tip.
Right.
And everybody was like, "Oh my God, who is Pep Love? Why does the world not know this fool?" You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was the response. And in every, like when Drez and the Native Tongues and Black Sheep, right? There was always, you get an album deal and you would put on your boy, right? So he could either get an out. That's how Nas got put on, right? Because he was on the main Source album, right? And so this idea of features wasn't just to make your album doper. It was to show who you hung out with. Like, I'm not just a dope MC. I run with lyrical murderers. You know what I mean?
Right.
I run with creative, skilled dudes. Over, I would say, after 2000, I believe that the industries started crafting who would be on a given artist's album. And so now, and I didn't really realize this.
They've got a following over here. They got a following over here. Yeah.
Right. And then there was this mutual reciprocity. So what that meant was, like, I got this album by Rick Ross several years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, whatever he put out then. And then whatever French Montana put out around the same time. They had the same people on all their albums, bro. Right. Pretty much. And I was like, Blood, this is weak as fuck, Blood. Like,
they're managed by Puff. That's why, yeah.
Blood. I was so disgusted by that because I was like, see, what that means is that French Montana knows an absolute murderer on the mic that he can't put on because Puff ain't going to greenlight it. It means that Rick Ross probably has some people that he can't put on because his label heads are going to cry if Snoop's not on the hook. You see what I'm saying? And that's why, to the credit of E40, on 40's last album, a lot of the dudes who are on his record are not necessarily known. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But that's why you got to put on the OG. You know what I mean? You let people put on who they want, bro.
And to quote two great ones, Sean Price, a lot of the greatest rappers, what is it? See, I love that. I love when my brain just stops. A lot of the greatest rappers are the best of my friends. If they put me on a song, the friendship will end.
Exactly. You're right. Right. Exactly.
Turf Talk.
That's so hard.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so hard. Exactly.
And then what did Turf Talk say? And delete them. Some rappers don't want me on a song because I'll eat them. You know, I mean, it's just like, you're so right.
Yes.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Some people are afraid of doing championship rounds with big dogs because they want to be the big guy in the gym rather than,
you know what I mean?
You're gonna challenge me inside this concept. Yeah.
And so it really sucks that the industry has ruined, because I always wonder, like I remember one of my favorite songs ever of all West Coast history is I think it's off Murder Was the Case, Who Got Some Gangsta Shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a down tempo track with Snoop and these other fools. Right now I'm blanking on the other guy, but the point is like, it opens like 6 a.m.
Right.
You know, 6 a.m, feds at my door, fresh Adidas squeak across the hardwood floor. Right, goes through this whole thing, and it's hella dope. And I think the dude was C-Style. That was his name, was C-Style.
Yeah.
My point was that C-Style never had a real hit in his life, but in that moment, he was the G of all G's.
Right.
And he fit the song perfectly. And like, I hate that we'll who's the little C-Style of Florida? We don't know.
Right.
We don't know. Because too many of these labels are in the way, and the guy who could be tearing it down and making dope hooks, you know, you let this guy on who never had a shot before, he might create a hook that makes everything triple platinum, Blood. Like, we not, you know what I'm saying? We're not thriving right now because of stuff like that.
Right. Man, you just reminded me, what is my song? What was my song? There was one on there. I'm trying to find it. What was my song, dude?
I'll tell you a rapper who nobody likes, but I think he has probably had some of the best hooks in hip hop in the last decade. I will put him up on that. I'll really say that.
Who?
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Okay.
Tekashi 6ix9ine, I can't say any verse he ever did, but his hooks are addictive. They are addictive. His hooks are addictive. Tekashi.
Yeah, I wonder, did he buy those hooks though? Like he bought everything else?
I don't get the feeling he did, man. Because he didn't have a lot of money in the beginning. He was really creative, bro. He's actually a great example of a guerrilla artist who really doesn't have that much substantial stuff, but he can make it look that way. You know what I mean? I think that his next album will probably be a hit and then he will disappear. it will only be a hit because people want to see what he says, but after they hear it, they won't be back.
Right.
They won't be back. But like, dude, that dude had crazy hooks, bro. Crazy hooks.
Right.
On the regular. Listen to the song On the Regular.
Okay.
That's a hell of a song, man. That's a hell of a song.
I'm gonna put together our criteria, and then when we come back next time, let's present our albums and see. We'll
and we're going for 10? 10?
10 is too much.
What number are we going for?
Way too much.
5 each? 5 each? 5 each?
3 each.
3 each?
I mean, because if you think about it, like, think about these scores, right? We got to get some scores in here.
Okay. So
let's think about things that are like things that would make like, let's say what, 1 to 5?
Yeah, 1 to 5 for each one.
1 to 5. So let's make sure, what is 1 the highest or is 5 the highest?
5. We'll do it in the tradition of the Source magazine. You would get 5 mics.
Okay.
5 will be the highest.
So let's go for things that are that are hitting 5.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're saying of all time.
That in 20 years it will still be a 5.
Right. Okay.
Let's put it this way, because you have seeds. I'm not there yet. My thought is I'm talking about records that when I'm sitting there chilling on the beach in New Zealand like this, and my grandkids come up to me and I'm like sitting there smoking one and they're like, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "This is
Boy, don't you know?
This is the greatest classic hip hop album. Like, I just can't talk to you about anything unless you understand this album. This is like, it's not just dad's music. This is in the top 5.
Okay.
So we're trying to go.
We said we're doing 3 each.
3 each. Just they got to be, and you got to score them.
Okay.
I'll make a Google form. And if we want to send it out to the listeners, if you guys want to score some of y'all, we'll make it cool for you. We'll make a.
I have. Are we talking soloists or groups?
Album, hip hop album, doesn't matter.
All right. 3 is lightweight unfair, but I like it. Because it keeps you honest. 3 keeps you honest.
Well, if you look at the scorecard, fine. If you want to do 5, you can. But if you look at the scorecard,
we're going to keep it at 3.
You're going to be like, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah, we'll keep it at 3.
Fair.
Because that will mean that you really believe it. There's no room.
I think we're going to be surprised if you go to your go-to and then you try to score it. You're going to be like, wait, that doesn't work the way I thought it worked. It may be dope production, but then lyrical content.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. That's what I learned the hard way. Like, for example, I'll start with something. I used to think that The Chronic was a classic album.
Wow, he's going in on The Chronic. I can't believe he's starting disrespecting the West. Continue.
I cannot stand by the lyrical content as a 42-year-old man.
Wow. Let me ask you this. Did you stand by it when it came out?
Was singing every word of ain't, but lick on the every word. Do it heart for heart. As a 42-year-old man with a wife and mothers and could be a father of a daughter one day.
That's right.
And the world that I want to live in,
right.
I cannot call that album classic. There's so much hatred to women on that album. I acknowledge how much Black unity and attempted ability for them to try to bring gang ties together. But by the next album after that, you could throw all that out. That went out the window with Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style. It all went out the window. So it's just, they just hate women every song. It's so hard for me. So I'm, I can't do it. I've thought about this long and hard. I can't. And you and I have talked about this. One of the greatest, most terrible compromises in hip hop is you and I as Black men can get along only if we hate Black women.
What about this, though? There was a saying.
Okay.
By a very compelling rap group called the West Side Connection.
Okay.
And you know what they said?
When I come to your town, I should bow down?
That is one of many things they said.
I was just checking.
The very first quote that's noted on that album is, bitch, you know the side, world motherfucking wide. Okay?
Right.
So, blood, like, that's where it's supposed to be, bro. 1992, at that age and stage, that's what it was, blood. It's too easy to be 42 and 50 and be like, oh, well, right now.
No,
I got 2 daughters, too. You know what I'm saying? I got 2 daughters.
I don't even have daughters. I'm saying. But on that same, I agree. But on that same Chronic record, you're right. On one song, you got that finger on the trigger, right? They're like talking about like ending gang violence in light of the riots. I'm with you. Also, let's be honest. These are West Coast dudes who are allowing Jamaican music into their music in a way that in our area, that was not okay. Right?
I don't know.
But,
I mean, Jamalski. Snow is white.
Snow is white and from Canada. Jamalski early on in the 90s was not getting treated with respect in the West Coast.
Oh, I beg to differ. I went to the Hyro show where they opened up and he tore it down.
That's Hyro. I'm talking. Let's take the whole diaspora of mob music, LA gang music.
I don't know. I never saw him not get love. But if you were in the town, so
I'm just okay. Have I told you the story when I first started my locks? And my locks got past my ear, and it was 1995, and I was riding the BART from over to the city. A bunch of dudes got on, what you want in New York, bitches? What you doing with your dude? Come on, man. If you talk to a lot, talk to Hadari, talk to a lot of cats early on with locks. That was not fly here.
Yeah, y'all were some pioneers.
And on top of which, there used to be an old beef between South Berkeley and North Oakland.
That's true. I forgot about
North
that.
Berkeley had hella Jamaicans, and South Berkeley didn't like that. So there was like my point is, I'm just trying to point out that album was innovative. It brought up great ideas, but some of and it had rage on it. Rage is killing it lyrically on there. It opened the door. That's one of the only other records, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's one of the only other records aside from MC Lyte where the woman is lyrically bombing everybody out.
Dude, she was wrecking people.
She's throwing haymakers, killing people, quotables. But you also know that people are getting choked out in the studio making that album.
Okay, so here's the problem.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a sociologist, the sociologist in me disagrees with the idea that we judge it after the fact with awakened heads and hearts.
Fair.
That we're not.
No, that's fine.
In you know what I'm saying? Like,
fine.
Look, I'll tell you a true story. If you go to my Instagram right now, you scroll back like a few lines, you'll see I have a boombox. I have an uncle who passed away, and he had a sick ass boombox, and I got his boombox.
I feel like every uncle gives us a boombox.
I found a Chronic tape.
Yeah.
And I put it in just to play it. And like, man, I was listening to Rage on high powered. Dude, this should be played at high volume.
Oh no, that's lyrical gangbang. That's lyrical gangbang.
Yeah,
oh, come on, that's what I'm talking about.
Preferably in a residential area. Boom, God, boom, God, dude, that was like, yo, and she just answered in. Just
now,
like,
where's I bust?
Come on, bro.
It's the wick whack.
Come on, man.
And as much as I love her, the part of my brain that will always be occupied by that album is one MC. There's one person on that whole record who always got under my skin.
Who was it?
RB to the motherfucking X.
He's a perfect example of someone who comes through with Dre and then never does anything of note lyrically again.
No.
How does that happen? I thought when he came out, I thought he was like the
now here's
bastard child of Chuck D and Eazy-E.
Well, I'll tell you, and this
and then he just,
we don't even have enough time for this.
Yeah.
But still, the truth of the matter is, and this is very controversial.
Go.
Okay. If Apple and Microsoft's success is based on being able to steal from Xerox,
right?
The success of Ruthless and Death Row is based on the ability to steal from the Good Life Cafe, the Freestyle Fellowship.
Oh, wow. That's really deep.
And one of the
mainly because it's probably true.
And one of the rumors that I've heard, because I know a lot of those cats, is that RBX used to have a crew with Peace from Freestyle Fellowship and the DOC called the Hillside Stranglers. And so I have always seen, you see why those dudes don't blow up, because they're really the sparring partners in the gym to keep the stars, the champions out there, right? Like you keep, all those guys are around rapping and they keep Corrupt sharp, but they're not going to get, they're going to get these indie deals through Delicious Vinyl, but RBX, remember RBX put out his own record through Steve Rifkin.
Yeah, it wasn't,
After he lost
was not hot.
Wasn't hot, nothing happened. And then when they started Aftermath, they pulled RBX right back, and Aftermath started going again, right?
That's true.
So it's hard. It's just hard. It's like he created great intellectual property. But his verses on Lyrical Gangbang and Stranded on Death Row sealed the deal for me. The innovator, dominator, narrow beat. Flex the beat.
I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
So now I walk around strapped.
Dude. He was hard.
And if you listen to his lyrics, go back. He's not talking about shooting people who look like me.
That's right. He was anti-establishment, bro. He was anti-establishment.
More specifically, he's talking about white supremacists in Orange County in 1992. He's talking about shooting Nazis and calling that out before American History X.
True.
Just saying. And also, if you go back to all the documentaries, he's the guy that Suge Knight wants no parts of.
And so you're saying all of that to say you're not going to use that album in your 3? Wow.
I'm going to say, as an example, as a proxy, from a sociology standpoint, and I love this, man. We got to keep writing books.
I know.
If I throw this into the filter, I bet you Chronic will not hit 5s on everything.
That will be our first bone of contention, sir, because I plan to make sure it gets in my list.
Obviously, you're cheating because you know that the production is always going to be a 5. That's the beauty of a Dre thing. It's always going to be live at the cookout. You can take all the lyrics off and play a Chronic album. It's always going to sound raw.
So I'm already just feeling great about this. You know what I mean? Now, what
exciting.
My other 2 are, and just so everybody who knows how I get down with the West Side, they're not even going to all be West Coast albums.
Right. That's generally how I live.
They're not going to be West Coast albums. I guarantee you.
I'm going to keep it all around.
In fact, I got a Southern album that I'm putting on the list that nobody's like. It may break the internet.
Yeah, I might be there.
My Southern pick is unconventional.
The problem is I listen to so much Southern rap. I'm going to have trouble just keeping it down to a few.
You know, my thing is I respect it and I love it, but I don't study it. I just know what I love. Right. You know what I mean? So there's like, you know, like for instance, there's artists from Texas who I think are dope, but I don't really rock with them. Like I don't know their catalog. You know
right.
But I wouldn't write them off. You know what I mean? But when I know it's hot, I definitely. You know.
I had a blast. I can't wait. Let's do this once a week.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, real quick. So it's gonna be 3 albums. We're gonna drop it. Okay.
You know what? Right, I'm gonna compromise. Let's do 4.
3's hard because it's an odd number. That's why.
But if you do 4, then that way I can pick 1 from each region.
That's fair. Let's do 4.
So I can do East Coast, Midwest, South, and West Coast.
Yeah, nobody gets left out. Unless we just have our own biases, which is fine.
You know that way it allows our biases. We honor our biases.
Right. Okay. Cool, man.
Fair?
All right.
Brother, I love you. Let's keep talking.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
Bro. All right. Peace.
Peace.